So I want to start a peppermint bristlenose breeding project. And to top it off, I had a crazy idea. I want to make that tank an amazing Aquascape tank, and I've already got the idea in mind. In this particular tank, it's got this little under cave area, and everyone that walks into my fish room instantly sees that and goes straight to it. There's all these little beautiful fish in there and they're like, oh my God, it looks so amazing. I want to create like a darkness. I want to create almost like a yin to the yang sort of effect. So it's beautiful, it's all well lit, but under this little cave area, I want to put a monster peppermint. That way, when people are looking at it, they're like, oh wow, that's such a beautiful tank. And then they might see like a little movement of this thing's tail underneath there. Oh, hopefully that gives them the whole scary, what the hell is that monster sort of effect going on here, right? This project is gonna require balance. I want to make an amazing breeding tank, but I also don't want to upset the beauty of the tank either. So I'm gonna have to play a game of giving the peppermint bristlenose the exact conditions that they need to thrive and making sure it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. So here's how I'm gonna do it. And you're gonna also learn everything you need to breed these peppermints properly, plus a little tip right at the end of this video about how to get them to breed if you haven't already. First things first, fundamental bristlenoses need caves. I've got these terracotta caves that I add to all of my tanks. That is where the males will trap the females, she'll lay her eggs, and then he will start fanning over those eggs. So no matter what, I'll need caves. Now I absolutely wish I'd gone out and gotten black caves so that it kind of matched my aesthetic more. Matter of fact, I'm probably gonna go and do that after this, but for now, we're gonna just use these terracotta caves. I'm gonna probably cover it with some moss or something like that to sort of help it blend in. So remember, the caves are an absolute essential. If I had my time again, I would have actually built the caves into the aquascape so that it kind of is part of the structure. I think that would have been a really, really cool idea, but either way, as long as I've got a space. Now the bristlenose colony that I'm using is 2 males and 1 female. I want to hammer this home, guys. If you want good spawns consistently, you need at least 1 male and 1 female. Otherwise, nothing happens. So make sure you've got adults and make sure they are comfortable in that tank. So I've got male, male, female, and you can see one of these males is an actual giant, like an actual beast, and he's the one who I want to be under that little cave area. Now that you understand, I don't want to disrupt the aesthetic. You need the caves and you need a male and a female. The next thing you want to really focus on is keeping the water clean. Bristlenose will spawn fortnight on fortnight on fortnight if the water parameters are really, really tight. So nitrates as close to 0 as possible. And the reason I'm choosing this aquascape tank is simple. Because I've got CO2, all of those plants work so strongly at absorbing the nitrates out of the water. The nitrates, every time I test them, are almost 0. Like, undetectable on the nitrate tests. So naturally, because it's such a well-planted tank, this will also be a perfect tank for bristlenose. Now, if you don't have a tank that's super heavily planted, don't worry. The solution is, if you don't have the plants to take the nitrates out, you just do water changes to keep the nitrates down. Simple solution, just requires a little bit more effort. That being said, it's worth it. Now, if you're at the point where you've got your caves, you've got a male and a female properly done, you know your nitrates are really, really good, the last thing you need to do if you haven't already got a spawn from those 3 things is called conditioning. And this is a key part to making spawns happen consistently. Now, conditioning is simply referring to all of the things that you do leading up to a spawn to condition both your male and your female for breeding. Conditioning refers to all the environmental factors that I explained previously, on top of the food that these guys are consuming. So I like to give my adults an 1/8 of an algae wafer 3 times a day, and then a couple blackworms at night for the 2 weeks leading up to when I want the spawn, as well as zucchini. 24/7 in those tanks, changed out every single day. Now that last one is just to keep digestive health. It's really, really good for them, but if you find that you're a bit more of a lazy fish keeper, which is fine, half of us are, I would opt to not have that zucchini in there, simply because of the fact that the moment you put your zucchini in and you leave it for more than say 24 hours, it goes all fluffy and just starts filling your tank with like zucchini mush and ends up doing more damage than good. So not worth putting into your tank if you're a bit of a lazy fish keeper. No big deal. You decide whether you want to do that input or not. If you don't have a full-time job, do it. You got the time. If you've got a full-time job, maybe think about not doing it or just changing it out as part of your routine, like work it into your day when you get back home from work. You do the first 2 things and the nitrates are also kept good and you don't get a spawn, do your conditioning regime. I like to feed almost exclusively algae wafers and zucchini for 2 weeks. And then the 2 weeks that I want the spawn in, I'll start feeding at the end of the day. Then I like to feed between 3 and 5 blackworms per peppermint bristlenose in that tank. And what that does is get the male full of calories and gets the female full of eggs. Once you've got that down, you've learned how to do it. The last thing you want to make sure happens is where your male's cave is, you want to also have like driftwood or pieces of equipment that are easy for the female to be hanging around the outside of the male's cave for, while also being protected from like eyes. Bristlenose are really secretive fish. They like to hide under pieces of driftwood or attach themselves to rocks where you can't see them, or under leaves of plants. Give the female the privacy of that around the male's tank, and you're gonna have a lot more spawns. So employ all of those tactics. I'm in love with how this tank turned out. I think I balanced it out pretty well. Hope you guys learned something. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, because there's more videos like this coming straight at you.